Congrats, you're going to Europe. You're about to have the time of your life. In this video, we're going through our 8-point list of what not to pack for Europe, so you can have the European vacation that you've always dreamed of.
If you don't have time to watch this whole video, you can download our free smart packing list in the link below. We've traveled across Europe multiple times and recently lived in France and Italy with our 2 children. Let's get started. First up, do not check a bag. I know that's going to seem absolutely crazy for some people, but you can do it, trust us, because Europe is not conducive to checked bags. There's nothing worse than carrying a 70-pound suitcase on cobblestone streets, through narrow train aisles, and worst of all, up 4 flights of stairs to your Airbnb that might not have air conditioning.
I really think that a heavy bag is gonna be literal extra weight on you. So think about it. If you're traveling from city to city in Europe and say you're getting on an airplane, a lot of these airlines have baggage restrictions as well. So you're gonna have to pay a checked bag fee if you're gonna check that. And then for your carry-ons, there is a limit on the weight. So the lighter the better here. Some of these restrictions are 7 kilos, 8 kilos. You wanna go as light as possible. I think something to think about here with just a carry-on is leave some space for opportunity, right? You're going to these wonderful places around Europe. Maybe you wanna pick up something along the way. So leave a little extra space as well.
Now, when it comes to actual bags, there's kind of 2 options. You can go the very lightweight and just be a true backpacker. The ideal bag that you want is something like a 45-liter soft-sided pack. Now, 3 that we absolutely love, we have the Osprey Daylight 44, the Patagonia Black Hole MLC, and our personal favorite, the No Reception Club Hideaway. Now, what we do on our setup, we actually use a roller carry-on bag paired with a good sturdy backpack. Colette, what's your backpack?
If I have the kids, then I am using my No Reception Club Getaway bag, which is a diaper bag. And then for my suitcase, I like to use a Rimowa.
And we also travel with just a simple Samsonite for the kids, and that's probably one of the best. If you're looking for a carry-on suitcase that's inexpensive, that's probably one of the best options. For me, the camera gear, I use the Think Tank Airport Essentials. I've used it for years. This thing is indestructible, rugged, durable. If you have camera gear, or actually you could probably use it for baby gear too, but absolutely love it.
Number 2, don't overpack your clothes. Now this is kind of piggybacking on number 1, but it's really about minimalism. And you'll wanna mix and match clothes. You wanna leave clothes to the side for those just in case. Like, you don't need to bring those just in case clothes. If they're just in case, you are probably not going to wear them. We also like to bring a few laundry sheets with us to be able to do some laundry on the go, especially if you're traveling with kids, that is imperative.
Typically for laundry, if you stay at an Airbnb, there's laundry available, or like Colette said, you can use travel laundry sheets. We're big fans of those, and you can do sink laundry. We're not above that when traveling because this is all about travel and lightweight. It's not about being frustrated with having to do a little bit of laundry in your sink.
Who's that weightlifter that goes, lightweight?
Yeah, buddy! Lightweight, baby!
That's what travel's like.
When it comes to some specific items that I love, I'm pretty simple. A pair of jeans. I also have a pair of versatile pants. There's 2 pairs that I love. There's the Lululemon ABC pants, and then there's also a pair from Walter Sky. Both of these are lovely khakis that I can wear hiking and out exploring, but they're also dressy enough that I can pair them with some dress shoes and wear them out at night.
And for travel for me, I love packing a bunch of different skirts that I can mix and match with tops. That makes it easy. I can dress them up or dress them down. And of course, bring some great accessories because those are lightweight and they don't take up much space in your carry-on, and they can totally change an outfit.
2 of my favorite brands that I'd recommend, dress shirts for guys, Mizzen and Main. Those are completely wrinkle-free shirts. And then actually this one that I'm wearing right now,
what is this one?
It's from a company called WRK, and they have something I've never seen before. This front panel is dress shirt material, and then the rest, sleeves, the back is all super soft cotton knit. It is one of the most comfortable dress shirts that I have ever worn.
You've had this for years,
I've had it for years, yes.
Wow.
So those are 2 brands that I really like and recommend. Number 3, do not pack a converter. We need to define 2 things, a converter and an adapter. A converter actually changes the voltage of power going into your device, whereas an adapter is just a different shape of plug so you can plug it into the wall. Do not bring a converter because it's gonna be too complicated and you really don't need it. What you can do is actually look at the brick, the little block that you plug into the wall, and if it says 110 to 120 voltage input, then it is okay to bring to Europe. And this will apply to almost anything nowadays. The few things that it won't will be the hair dryers and curlers. Now, Colette, talk about your straightener curler that you travel with.
Yes, so I travel with a travel curling iron, and it is specifically made for travel. So it can be both of those voltages. And the thing that Scott's talking about is if you bring a US curling iron, straightener, or hair dryer to Europe, which with a different electric system, then you're gonna ruin your curling iron and you're probably gonna shut out all the lights in the hotel that you're staying at. So bring a travel curling iron. It's also really small. I'll put a link below. And I honestly use it on my hair even in the States because I don't need 2 curling irons, I just need 1. So there you go.
When it comes to picking an adapter, you can really use any of the universal ones, but one that we like is the Anchor Universal Nano one. That also has some USB and USB-C plugs, and really you could get by with just that. Now, if you're a couple, I would recommend at least getting 2 because you're gonna wanna plug in your phone on either side of your beds at night and you're not gonna argue over who has the charger. Now, if you're gonna do some work or you've got more electronics to plug in, then I recommend just a simple travel power strip. And the reason is, one of the problems I run into a lot is when I'm plugging in my laptop and I've got to plug in the brick into the wall, into the adapter. Typically in these old European outlets, it just falls out. Now, if you use the adapter with the simple travel power strip, it won't fall out as easily and you won't have the headaches.
And it sounds like a lot, but it's actually this really compact little set that you have. Number 4, don't bring the wrong shoes. Now, shoes can make or break a trip because you're gonna be walking through airports, walking on cobblestones. It's really easy to put 5 miles in a day. And so you wanna be comfortable, but you still wanna be chic, right? So I love to travel with 2 different pairs of shoes. And I like to travel with my On Federers, which are these cute white sneakers. They're chic, but they're still sneakers, so I'm comfortable while I'm walking through cities. I also pack comfortable sandals like a Merrell or an Echo, which look really chic and have some sparkles or a little sheen to it, but are still really comfortable because my key here is comfort over style. However, if I am going to something fancy, if we're going to a really fancy restaurant, I will bring a low wedge or a low heel, but nothing stiletto because that's just not gonna work in Europe. And I find that maybe for the one night that I would wear a heel, it's not worth it to lug around for 2 weeks. So I really try to simplify with 1 chic sneaker and 1 chic sandal.
As for myself, I travel with some simple tennis shoes as well. Big fans of the On Cloud 6. I also like for dress shoes, there are these Cole Haan dress shoes that are amazing. Not only are they sneakers, they have a sneaker bottom, but they look like leather shoes. So what's great is I can wear those out traveling and out at night and still look fashionable whenever we go out.
I do.
Number 5, don't overpay for your phone. Now, most carriers in the US will charge somewhere between $10 and $15 per day for international phone usage. Now, if you're going for a short trip, it's probably not a big deal to worry about. But if you're going for like a week or 2, here are some options. So if you have Verizon, you can actually upgrade to their highest level plan and you get free international usage of your phone, and that will just be the 1 fee. And when you get back, you can always downgrade your plan to whatever plan you're looking for. Some other options, T-Mobile, you likely have free international texting and data in basically any country. And then the other option you have is to install an eSIM. Companies like Olafly and Airlo are 2 great options. They just cost a few dollars a day. Now, one of the things I would recommend though is if you're going to do an eSIM, set this up before your trip. Some of the things people run into is their phone might be locked or you just have some issues that you need to talk to customer service. And I have had problems trying to deal with that while abroad, not being able to set up my eSIM.
I'm just gonna throw an idea out there. If you're going to Europe, why not just don't have any service at all? Because the point of traveling and getting outside of your comfort zone is to not have the same creature comforts. So if I'm scrolling Instagram at home, why do I want to be scrolling Instagram when I'm in Italy? Maybe don't get the eSIM service or don't turn on your phone and just enjoy.
Or just use cafe Wi-Fi.
How crazy is that?
You could use Wi-Fi in your apartment and in the cafes just to get around,
Right.
and that's all you need.
Number 6, don't bring lots of cash with you. Now, everywhere in Europe basically takes a credit card outside of a few markets here and there. It's okay to bring a little bit, but try to rely on your credit card, especially if your credit card has no foreign transaction fees. What you're dealing with when you go to Europe is different exchange rates. And now when you go, say, to the airport and you see all of those, currency exchangers, do not go there. Whatever you do, do not go there. It is the worst exchange rate that you can possibly have. If you need to, you can get cash out ahead of time with your bank at home. You just have to order ahead of time. So say at Chase, we just let them know a couple weeks ahead of time, hey, I need 100 euros. The other option, which we really are proponents of, is to take the cash out once you're there. Now, I know that some banks charge a withdrawal fee, but prior to leaving, try to talk to your bank and see if you can upgrade your account or do something where they don't have a transaction fee on ATMs outside of their umbrella.
So we typically, once we land, we will pull out maybe like 100, 200 euros, and this will cover like the one time you need to get a ticket on a ferry and they don't take credit card. And you don't need to worry about spending it. So at the end of your trip, if you can spend it, that's great. If not, when you get home, you can always deposit those extra euros, only the cash, into your bank. Number 7, don't pack just in case items. Now this is kind of like a mindset shift. There's a lot of fear you're gonna have about what if I don't have these certain things while I'm abroad. Thing is, you have to realize you are not going off the grid. You're just going to Europe. These are major cities that are gonna have stores, pharmacies, everything you could need. So if you're thinking, I need to bring a poncho and an umbrella, don't worry about it. If it rains or the weather shifts, you can always pick those up for a few euros, probably down the street.
But there are a few important items that you should bring with you. I would say things like Imodium, Pepto, all of your traveler's belly issues. Bring some NyQuil, bring any medications that you have from home, and always pack those in your carry-on. But you're not checking a bag anyway, so you don't have to worry about that. But some over-the-counter medications are not over-the-counter in Europe and in some countries in Europe. So for example, NyQuil and Benadryl are not always over-the-counter. So I would recommend bringing those. But if you do get sick while you're there, the pharmacy is your first point of contact when getting sick. So say someone comes down with a cold, go to the pharmacy, talk to them about your symptoms. They can always refer you out to a doctor, or they can just give you medication right there. Number 8, and this one is for the parents, do not pack your bulky baby gear. I know you're used to your creature comforts of home. You like that one pack and play. You like this and that. You can always rent them while you're there. And then you can save space, not have to check bags, not have to lug all of this stuff through airports and train stations, and just pick it up there. So there's companies like Babonbo, which is a global company. There's also local companies, really wherever you're going. So say when we went to Antibes in the south of France, I looked online, I looked on Google, Antibes baby equipment rental, and I found a local shop. We went to the shop, picked up our car seat right there, and it was about €5 a day.
Car seats are a big one. I mean,
yeah.
Most Americans are probably saying, I have to bring a car seat to Europe. We have planned our travels around not needing car seats, where we will take trains and all the local transportation. And then if we do need to, like you said, we have just rented the car seats. Airbnbs nowadays, almost all of the ones we've reached out to, hey, do you have a pack and play? If they don't have one set up, which I feel like that's kind of standard process for them, they will typically can kind of source one for you as well.
Also, when it comes to diapers and wipes, you are gonna wanna bring enough diapers for the day of the travel, and I would say a day extra. The rest of the time, pick up the diapers and wipes there. They take up so much space in your bag, and babies are everywhere, diapers are everywhere, and I promise they'll be okay.
And if you wanna see more on how to travel with a baby, we have a whole video that breaks down the entire process, and we'll put that somewhere right there. Now, before you panic and get all overwhelmed, here is a simple recipe for a great trip. Pack half as much stuff and twice as much money.
Yeah, no problem.
No problem. Pretty simple.
Thanks for watching.
If you like this and you found it beneficial, please check the links below. Also, sign up for our newsletter where we give out all sorts of travel tips and guides.